It's time for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. Sully's College Football Page is brought to you by the Hilltop Bar, Advantage Insurance, Tommy's Express Car Wash, Dwayne's Cover It All, Buck's Golf Shop, Jim Kreshock Jewelry, Big Fat Design, Sun Printing, Lot Nose, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, Menster Hardwoods, Krasowski Dental, the Cloverbelt Credit Union, April Rosemurky EXP Realty, France Propane, Subway, Webco of Wausau, the Kuhn Hearing Center, Carmelo's and Rip Mountain Golf Course, Joe Rader Towing, the Dirks Group, the Intermission Lounge, the Brokaw Credit Union, Champion Insurance, Trap River Golf Club, Central Wisconsin School of Ballet, Red Clover Market, Mountain Bay Auto Care, Charlie's Bar, the People's State Bank, the Mint Cafe, North End Pub, and the Travel Leaders. It's time now for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Discombobulated.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. And you can also take a look at Sully. You can see him in his red here today by going to youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO page, because if you go to the channel for WXCO, you can watch live Sully's College Football Page, and then you can watch it again. You can just go back and relive all the action on YouTube as well. It is week number 3 for us. Week
3.
As we continue now, the first Saturday of September, things start to heat up on the field, cool off in the weather part of it, because it's a very fall football-like Saturday morning here in Central Wisconsin, and a lot to talk about. But before we jump right in, has the start of the season been what you want to see? Has it been an exciting start for college football?
Well, other than the Notre Dame game, I'm thrilled with what I've seen. I thought the Texas-Ohio State game, we thought it would be low scoring. It was.
Yeah.
The defenses right now are very good and a little ahead of the offenses. It's likely, Chad, those teams will play again, and so by then that game will be a different flavor, because the offenses will have caught up, and in some respects, given the talent on that side of the ball, probably a much more high-scoring affair.
Absolutely, and after was it a Thursday night game? Yeah, the Badgers started on Thursday,
yes.
Right? So now they get back. How about this? A Saturday afternoon game. That's what we like to see. They play these Thursday games. They play these Friday games, Saturday night games. But hey, college football is meant to be on Saturday afternoon at Camp Randall Stadium. That's what they have, as Middle Tennessee pays a visit as the Badgers try to go 2-0 on the young season. And the thing that kind of jumps out to me, and it's a 3 o'clock kickoff on FS1, 28.5-point favorites for Wisconsin. I would love to see Wisconsin have a game like that where they actually win by more than 4 touchdowns, because it hasn't happened that much.
No, it really hasn't. And we thought when Coach Fickle came in that we were going to see a little more scoring, because given the nature of the spread, the Badgers would be scoring more, which means they wouldn't be the ball control kind of team. But it's been just the opposite. The scoring has gone south. Today, though, against Middle Tennessee, Chad, I am confident you're going to get your wish and more. I think the Badgers are going to score in excess of 40 points today.
And it's going to be Danny O'Neill under center. It will not be Billy Edwards Jr. because he hurt his knee, but it's not going to be, it appears like they've seen in the past, where you lose your quarterback for the whole season. But I got to think going into this incredibly tough part of their schedule. You would have loved to have seen Edwards get the reps, and it's going to be very difficult, I think, for him to jump in, say, if he's ready for Alabama or something like that. But at the same time, they do have experience still, and O'Neal has a chance probably to put a pretty good claim. If he plays excellent football, I think it'd be hard to remove him.
Well, last week, Austin Peay, an FCS team, held Middle Tennessee to 0 for 12 attempts on third down. So this is not a very good, to say it politely, offensive group here that the Badgers are going to be facing. I think, Chad, you're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs. And then back to your point, Danny O'Neal's going to have the ball a lot because the Badgers are going to turn them. You're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs. So I'm thinking 40 plus, and it better be because of what's down the road. So they really need to get out and have a very good offensive afternoon.
And also, I think one of the talk in the transition offensively in the offseason was to try to get back that I think I don't know if you call it a run first mentality, but at the same time a toughness. And I was talking to Coach Mickling actually, and I asked him, I said, after the last couple of years, has the Badgers running back talent gone down? Because it used to be where these running backs wanted to come to Wisconsin because they knew they were going to be a featured part of the offense. And in the last couple of years, it wasn't that way. I don't think that they have generally the same talent level right now at the running back position that they used to have, where they had, year after year after year NFL level running backs. So how do you see it?
Same way. The same way. The offensive line, you used to have a clear identity of those guys, 6'5" to 6'7", 315 to 335. I mean, that was them. And the thing I loved about what Wisconsin did in those years, Chad, they'd go get a 280-pound kid out of high school that was 6'4" to 6'7", and then they typically would look to see if he played basketball, because then they knew his footwork would be a little superior to someone who had not played that sport. And so they get those guys, redshirt them, get him 40 pounds of muscle, and now that 280-pound kid is suddenly a 320-pound kid, and here come the Badgers. Last week, Danny O'Neal was 9th in the country in hurries. They did not protect him as well as they certainly should have against Miami of Ohio. Now, Chuck Martin knows Fickell. He's coached against him when Fickell was at Cincinnati. So there's a familiarity there with ways to attack him. However, it was a poor performance by the line. But everything is going to get well today, I think, given the opponent that they're facing.
And defensively, I mean, you have a shutout last week. That's a terrific way to start for Mike Tressel and his defense. As you said, it looks as though it's not going to be a top offense that they're facing here today. But generally, for the Badgers, they're going to need that top-level defense. And even last year, as much as they struggled, that defense, it had some downward, I think we go back to, I think it was the Iowa game. That may have been one of their worst games. But, boy, they were able to slow down a very tough Oregon team that was the number one team in the country for most of the regular season going into the playoff. Defensively, it looks like this Badger team, and it looks like Mike Tressel has something going pretty good to start off the season.
Yeah, in that Iowa game, it was 42-10. Chad, so they just could not stop the Hawks. In part, and I think in fairness to the defense, they're on the field a lot more than they used to be, given this what we're going through with the offensive growing pains. So part that certainly a factor, but overall, I think that what we're used to is that ball control, power game, and then our defense comes out and very aggressive. It gets the ball back, and then pretty soon the effect on the opponent's defense is they just get wore down with that big line coming at them. So we'll see what happens today. This is about as defenseless a group of 5 team as there is right now in the country. So again, the Badgers need to score, or should easily score, 40 plus today.
Anything else that we should know about Middle Tennessee for folks who have not seen them or may not know about them as they sit down to watch the game later this afternoon? You dig into all these teams and all these conferences on the website. Is there anything that people should be thinking about or looking for when kickoff occurs?
Well, the first thing I'd say, as a Badger fan, I am glad Rick Stockstill is no longer there, because that guy was a good coach, and in games like this, he got his team ready to go. I think he recruited better. They were a much better team then. They play in Conference USA, and they have a great rivalry with Western Kentucky. That's gone on for years. Whatever that interstate highway is, that's what they call it, the I-35 or whatever it is down there. And so they have been a very good team, but since Stockstill has left, they have struggled, Chad. They just are not as good, and they are picked near the bottom in Conference USA.
And I guess the final question I would ask, we know how tough the rest of the schedule is starting in week number 3. Yeah. Is this, you want wins, because when you do have that kind of tough schedule, you got to find the wins when you get them. But at the same time, is this going to get them ready for Alabama or any teams like that?
You are absolutely right on both points. You need wins, and the best example of that is Signetti over at Indiana. This will be the second year in a row they have not played a Power 5 in the non-conference schedule. The Badgers opening up the way they did, at least Miami of Ohio will challenge for the MAC. This team, not so much. So that meets that. But to your point, does it get them ready for Alabama? I think that's an unequivocally no, it does not, because Alabama, you could go down to the third string in terms of the athleticism, the skill sets that those kids are going to bring into the contest. Versus what Middle Tennessee, at the very least, as we said, Miami of Ohio is a little more formidable. But anyway, so yes, we need the wins, and that's a good thing. And no, we're going to have to find another level going down to Alabama, and Alabama, especially after how they played last week. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things I'm hearing from down south.
All right, so Badgers in Middle Tennessee coming up later this afternoon at 3 o'clock on FS1. Coming up, we will talk about the rest of the Big Ten Conference and look at what's going on this week. So many teams to talk about, so we split it up, east and west of the Mississippi. We'll start with the west of the Mississippi coming up next. It's Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Choose an agency with true 5G coverage. Advantage Insurance of Wausau. Great companies, great agents, great service, great rates, and great claims results. At Advantage Insurance, they support our local community and back you always. Call Advantage Insurance today for all of your insurance needs, or go to AdvantageInsuranceWausau.com. They offer top-rated coverage and the best agents that provide you a true 5G experience for the best total coverage for all your insurance needs.
Chief, we've got a situation.
What is it?
Trouble at the naval base, sir. I'll put it on the screen.
Jiminy Christmas, what happened to all our boat covers?
That's not the worst of it, sir.
No!
Afraid so, sir.
Not the boat upholstery, too. All those holes? It looks like Swiss cheese.
It's funny you mention that, sir. We found the culprit.
All right, Mouse, who are you working for? The Russians? Take him to the brig and get Agent Dwayne from CIA on the horn now. Dwayne's covered off. Dwayne speaking. Agent Dwayne, your country needs you. A terrorist mouse has chewed up every single boat cover and piece of upholstery in the Navy.
I'll patch up what I can and replace what I can.
Agent Dwayne, you're a great American.
Just doing my job.
Boat covers, seat upholstery, camper, deck, or patio awnings. When you need something covered or upholstered, call the CIA. Dwayne's Cover It All. Commercial accounts are welcome. Call or email Dwayne. Visit Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
It takes a lot to impress us at Jim Krishock Jewelers. I mean, we see gorgeous diamonds, gemstones, and incredible jewelry every day that we've chosen for our selection. But when a diamond jewelry line like this one comes along, well, our eyes really widen up and our mouths drop open and our hearts beat a little faster. Yours will too when you stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection of diamonds and diamond jewelry. Their slogan is bigger, brighter, whiter. And it's a difference you can see, which is the most important. Each Fire and Ice diamond is cut to maximize the performance of light coming into and leaving the diamonds to create amazing sparkle and brilliance. So whether you're planning on getting engaged or upsizing your current diamond, or just want something completely new with more sparkle and dazzle than you've ever seen before, stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection. It's exclusively available right here at Jim Krishock Jewelers at our one and only location on Rib Mountain Drive in Wausau.
Joe Rader Towing in Wausau offers 24-hour-a-day towing, blackout service, and roadside assistance throughout central Wisconsin. You can count on Joe Rader's experienced team to get to you fast. Family owned and operated. When you need a tow, call Joe at 715-212-4762.
The Intermission Bar, located in the heart of downtown Wausau, is a warm, friendly, comfortable spot to enjoy time with old friends and meet new ones as well. Free live music 3 nights a week featuring some of the Midwest's finest talent. The Intermission, a social establishment.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app and on YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 WXCO channel. Time to jump into what is happening in the Big Ten Conference. Again, along with the SEC, I think generally thought of as the
Power two.
The power. Yeah, no truer words may have been spoken so far today. But let's talk about the western part of the Big Ten Conference and what's happened and what will be happening. In fact, there was a game last night. And I remember last week there was a lot of talk about the Northwestern Tulane game.
Yes.
And, basically why. And then I believe you picked Northwestern to win that game.
I did.
And then they came out and did you hear the story that Tulane was really upset because they had wanted to honor the 20th anniversary of Katrina? And they, back when they had that happen, they had to move their games out of New Orleans, I think,
sure,
to Baton Rouge, and they had to, and they wore all white uniforms without any logos on it for that first game. They wanted to do that, but Northwestern said no. They claimed that they did not make the request soon enough, so Tulane had to wear their normal home uniforms. Well, Northwestern wore the road whites, but then the Tulane coach after the game said that basically that Northwestern got him mad, and then they went out there and they kind of took care of business. But.
Well, I don't know all the circumstances, but I got to tell you, Chad, with that, I am 100% with Tulane. A lot of people lost a lot in that tragedy, and so Northwestern, you need to adjust a little bit on the fly. And I would say based on how their defense played, they were unable to do that not only prior to the game, but during the game itself. Yeah. So Tulane's right on that. They should have stepped up.
But Northwestern did bounce back last night, winning 42-7. So, again, I think what I said about Wisconsin today, Northwestern needed that kind of game, maybe just to reestablish a little confidence within that group.
And they did play Western Illinois. And right now, Western Illinois.
Are they the Leathernecks by chance?
They exactly.
Sometimes I dig it in.
And people who hear that term think of the Marines. You'd be right to do that because the Marine Corps has some kind of special relationship with Western. They have had for years. But right now, I think the Marines are distancing themselves from the way that the Leathernecks, at least that version of them, are playing.
So Northwestern now 1-1 on the young season. And then we get to the games that are going on today. Again, you're seeing some non-conference activities, some better than other
Yes.
matchups, and I would say that Washington at home 1-0 on the young season, taking on UC Davis, and I cannot say that I know what the nickname of UC Davis is at this point. Washington 22-point favorites on Big Ten Network late tonight. So if you're home getting ready for bed, turn on Big Ten Network, you can see Washington Huskies in action.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, this UC Davis team is rated or ranked in our FCS. They're a good FCS team. However, last week they had kind of an interesting situation. Lightning, they were playing the best team in the SoCon, at least coming into the season, although they did lose the Presbyterian last week. So, but anyway, the week of the 23rd, that game did not count. It was postponed and then canceled. So this is really UC Davis's first go around. And while they are a good team, this will be a long afternoon for them.
And by the way, they are the Aggies, referencing the university's agricultural origins.
And if you go on the site and you you go to what would be the Big Sky Conference, they're one of the favorites, you will see on their team page listed the Aggies.
Oklahoma State and Oregon. And I like it when these, the so-called power conferences get together for a non-conference game. And both teams started off their seasons with wins. And for Oklahoma State, I would think it was significant because they had such a difficult 2024 where there was even talk that Mike Gundy might lose his job. It was so bad last year, but they were able to win their opener. And then Oregon, of course, won their opener as well. This will be the big game on CBS. That's always the Big Ten game at 2:30. Oregon, though, you look at a matchup between power conference foes, you don't think it'll be a 27.5-point spread. That's what the Vegas boys say.
Well, and Mike Gundy did have a few things to say about.
He has a few things to say about a lot of things.
Well, you're going to like this. So you talk about, Tulane being a little upset with Northwestern. Basically, Gundy said the reason Oregon is who they are is because they spend money like there's no end to it.
He may be right there.
Yeah, and I don't think Oregon warmed up to that. So, Michael's never been one to keep his mouth shut or, the discretion being the better part of valor. That concept has escaped him. So, again, a little fuel to the fire here as they get ready to kick it off.
Absolutely. You got USC 1-0 at home against Georgia Southern. And this one has, you normally think, Georgia Southern and USC, not much there. This one has a little spice to it, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Clay Hilton, who did decent work to good work at SC.
Had his moments,
he sure did. And he's coming back. He is now the head coach at Georgia Southern, so he makes his return to the land of Troy. And that in itself is a kind of a storyline that certainly is playing well out there. That said, I don't think that storyline is going to come onto the field. SC is going to have their way against Georgia Southern, a team that has struggled of recent. But, like Hilton has had his moments there as well.
USC 28.5-point favorites. FS1 at 6:30 tonight. UCLA and UNLV. Boy, UCLA had a rough start against Utah last week. Lost by a big margin. UNLV off to a good start, not facing the same competition. But this week I saw a story talking about the new UCLA quarterback, Nico, whatever his name is, from Tennessee. Malev.
Yeah, it's
but there was controversy when he left Tennessee. There was a story talking to one of the UNLV defenders, and basically the defender said, well, he really does, he's really kind of a nothing.
Well,
he had a rough game against Utah last week, and all of a sudden he is now, in addition to what happened when he left Tennessee, he's got something to prove.
Well, we talked about, O'Neal being the 9th most harassed quarterback in last week's games. It's
Nico.
Yeah, Nico. He was the most harassed. He was first. And UCLA, one of their guys who does Locked On UCLA, was saying he needs to throw for 300 yards. He needs to throw for 3 touchdowns to show. And I'm thinking, What about the offensive
Yeah.
line blocking for him?
You're right.
And the thing is with Nico, he left Tennessee. It started with Carson Beck. When Beck went to Miami and got $4 million, he decided, or people in his circle decided, he was worth that as well. Well, the general feeling in Tennessee, he hadn't played at that level. He certainly was nowhere near what Beck was in 2023. And so Tennessee basically said no.
And he had a contract, basically.
He did, and you worry about Nico because they would have raised it from $2 to $3 million. He went to UCLA and he got about $1 million. And last time I checked, California is more heavily taxed than Tennessee. So he, on this business decision, he lost over $1 million. And we all know UCLA is not as well coached, and they don't have the same kind of talent around them. Tennessee has 2 5-star tackles, left and right. UCLA is a hodgepodge and a 3 stars. Athletic, to be no doubt about it, they always are. But they're not like Tennessee. So this was just not a great decision for Nico.
UCLA 2.5-point favorites, even with the game being played in Las Vegas, and even with UNLV 2-0. CBS Sports Network at 7:00 tonight. You got Akron, the Zips, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska had that tight win against Cincinnati in their season opener. This time around, they don't expect it to be tight. 34.5-point favorites for Nebraska. Big Ten Network at 6:30 tonight.
Yeah, Akron is one of the bottom feeders, in the MAC. They're not real strong. They have been over the years, but not the last, say, 5 or so. And so with Dylan Aurelia. Anyway.
Areola?
Is it
Raiola?
It's
Raiola.
Raiola.
Raiola. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I knew we'd get there eventually. Anyway, he is kind of poised, Chad, to have a very good year this year. And I think Akron is really going to have no response to Nebraska. They're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to stop the run. They're going to throw it pretty much at will. So this will not be pretty.
Perhaps the best early game, 11 o'clock kickoff. We take you right up to kickoff here on Sully's college football page, but at 11 o'clock on Fox, it's the Battle of Iowa Hawkeyes and the Iowa State Cyclones. Both teams are off to good starts, especially Iowa State with that win over K-State across the pond to start off their season. Hawkeyes and the Cyclones in Ames this time around. Cyclones 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and the series is 47-34. Or, excuse me, 37-24.
47-24.
Yeah, I'll be right in a minute. Anyway, Iowa.
Too many numbers.
Yeah, Iowa has had their way in this series. They under Ferentz.
They should. They're the Big Ten school.
Yeah, and this time around, Iowa State won a big game in Dublin when they took down Kansas State. Mm-hmm. And then last week, people are going to say, come say, they beat South Dakota 55-7, I believe. And, the reality here was South Dakota's good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a good FCS team.
Normally when Iowa faces that type of team, it's like 8-6, right?
our famous 7-3 score. Right. The bottom line, this game, I'm with you, other than maybe the Michigan-Oklahoma game, which we'll talk about here in a bit. This may be the best game in the Big Ten.
And it will be, for us fans, and I consider myself one, that, you don't need it to be 47-44. You don't need it to be an air raid game. This will be tough football, won't it?
They're going to line up and try to knock each other off the ball. Matty Campbell, who we've always thought well of, he likes to run the ball and stop the run. He's going to try and force, because in part that's their philosophy. And given Iowa, especially so, they're going to put 7 in the box and force them, Grabowski to throw the ball down the field.
Finally, and we've talked about a few games, I think, that are considered one-sided. This may be the worst of them all. You got Northwestern State of Minnesota. Yes, Northwestern State's 1-0, but they didn't win any games last year. And this one, the spread is 47.5 points. And with Iowa State, with Michigan, Oklahoma, with other choices. If you really want to watch this game, if you're really roll the boat kind of guy, you need to watch it. It's at 11 o'clock on Big Ten Network.
Yeah, and this gets back to, we talk about pay for play. This is pay for win,
Yeah.
and so they'll give them a $500,000 or whatever they've worked out there. And
glorified scrimmage.
Yeah, Northwestern State is out of Louisiana. They're in the the Southland Conference, and they're not very good in that conference as well, and so this could be and will be a very long afternoon for them.
So that is west of the Mississippi. Well, there's still plenty of Big Ten action to talk about east of the Mississippi, and we'll do that coming up next on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
I only travel once or twice a year, but when I do, I go big. Exotic places, incredible hotels, new experiences. It has to be memorable. That's why I call Travel Leaders of Wausau. They get me, and they take care of all the details, so I don't have to worry about a thing.
Travel Leaders gets you, and we get you there. Travel better. Call Travel Leaders of Wausau at 715-355-4437.
And can't forget the sandals. And the right sunglasses.
Hello, my name is Steve Brickner. Here at Brickner Motors in Little Chicago, we'll help you order your brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, or Jeep and get it equipped the way you want it and the color you've always dreamed of. That means you won't overpay for something you don't want. Quality vehicles and competitive prices are what keep people coming back again and again. Make the drive out to Brickner Motors on Little Chicago's northeast side and let our family take care of your family.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
The Kuhn Hearing Center is a family-owned and operated hearing care facility located at 1699 Schofield Avenue, Suite 106 in Schofield. Dr. Tim Kuhn has been practicing audiology in the greater Wausau-Weston area for 26 years. Dr. Kuhn works closely with several audiology agencies, including Signia Hearing Aids and Accessories, which provides access to the latest and most advanced technologies in the hearing industry. For more info, check them out online at kuhnhearing.com or call 715-298-5511.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app, and at youtube.com on the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes, and we're talking Big Ten. We're looking ahead to this week's action and a little bit of a little bit spice of games last night. There was one game that was, we talked about west of the Mississippi. There was one game last night east of the Mississippi, and Maryland defeated Northern Illinois by a score of 20-9. I know we talked again about Maryland. I think a significant season for Mike Loxley, 20-9 against Northern Illinois. And of course, nobody can overlook Northern Illinois, right?
No, you better not. Hey, and before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to my brother, Pat, who I just got a text from. He's down in Willowbrook. I will always associate our family with Joliet, but Pat has subsequently moved, and so we wanted to give Pat a shout out.
Very nice.
Yes. All right. Now, with the game last night, Northern Illinois did what they do. Thomas Hammock is their coach.
Right.
He's a big old boy. If him and Bielema play, that wherever they're playing, the smorgasbord's better close down. But anyway, he's done good work there. And the game was a competitive game. Maryland's receivers, were the difference. What we have talked about, They get the ball in space. They're formidable. They struggled to run the ball against Northern. Northern pretty much controlled the run, but they had a hard time dealing with their athletes in space. So Maryland gets another win, and they're coming to the Badgers the week after Alabama. And if things go according to Hoyle and according to what Sully's college football page has said, the Badgers will take them on in Madtown, get their win, and the Badgers after 4 are going to be 3-1.
We'll see. I think Loxley probably has other ideas about that one.
I'm sure he does.
Illinois and Duke. This one being played down at Durham on Duke's campus. Both teams started with wins. Both teams recently have been able to move out of their traditional spots within their conferences. Both Illinois and Duke have done some really good things in recent years. And this very intriguing matchup, ESPN, 11 o'clock, Illinois, a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, and you like the coaches in this game.
Yeah.
Matty Diaz has quite the journey. I know he was in Texas for a while with Mac. And he has moved around and done pretty good work everywhere he's been. Same thing here at Duke. I believe they won 9 games a year ago. And then, of course, Bielema is kind of changing the nature of what Illinois is. Now, here's the thing about them, Jed. They have had good seasons in the last 10 years, but did not follow up the next year with what you would call a similar type of season. So I think Illinois is really looking to break that trend. And today's game goes a long way. If they can go down to Duke and get that done, then, it kind of sets the stage. And in a couple of weeks, they got a big game with Indiana.
And speaking of Indiana, 1-0 Hoosiers take on 0-1 Kennesaw State. Indiana did win last week, but not by overwhelming force against, again, an opponent you would expect to kind of roll. Another 11 o'clock kickoff on FS1. IU 35.5-point favorites in this game, but you were talking off the air that right now you're going to wait to see Indiana prove themselves because, frankly, they don't play anybody in the non-conference.
Well, interestingly, you raised that issue in the first segment. We were talking about the Badgers. The last 2 years, Indiana did not play and will not play a Power 4 non-conference opponent. Signetti has never had a losing season. Well, you start to integrate that back to the scheduling. And so I think Indiana is a team that's going to say, we want the wins, because we want to get to the bowl. That gets us more exposure and it improves recruiting. Kennesaw State's a team out of Georgia. It is an FCS team. Check it. It is an FBS team, and they are in Conference USA. And Chad, this will be a long afternoon for Kennesaw.
So that's, again, a lot of 11 o'clock games I've been noticing real early on here today. So you guys have that remote clicker ready to move around a whole lot. But there will be a game tonight at 6:30 on BTN. It is Purdue, 1-0 Purdue. The new era started off with a nice shutout win last week, and they take on the Salukis of Southern Illinois, who is 1-0 as well. When you think Southern Illinois at Purdue, you would think, Big Ten team at home. Would it be a huge favorite? 13.5 points, which is not a huge amount in college football, is it?
Well, when I think of Tennessee, UCLA, I got to tell you, I always go back to athleticism, although of late Tennessee has gotten very physical. Southern Illinois, when I was in my junior year back at Providence High School, Southern Illinois in baseball, the Salukis, they were as good or better than Arizona State. Every year they would go to the Nationals. Walt Frazier played there, the great basketball player. And so they have always been very talented athletically. They have athletes right now as we speak. They're good again in that way. They just don't have enough of them, and they're going to struggle to play with Purdue at the line of scrimmage. And then, I always, when I think of Purdue, I always think of you talking about they should have got Rich Rod, and got an offensive guy, because you were the first guy, Chad, that talked about Ryan Williams.
DNA.
Ryan
the
Walters,
DNA
being a defense, and this is offense. Anyway, a more competitive game than some of the other games we've talked about. But Purdue gets this done and goes to 2-0.
By the way, you spoke of Walt Frazier in Southern Illinois in 1967. They beat Marquette in the NIT championship game, knocking off Al McGuire. So,
I did not know that.
they won the NIT in 67 over MU. So
I'm sure I would have known it at the time, but I didn't remember.
Sure.
They had another pro, a kid named Garrett, I think, that was on that team. But that's an accomplishment. Al McGuire was one of the great basketball coaches. And, when I think of great basketball coaches, I always go to Wooden, then Knight, Hubie Brown, those guys. But I'll tell you, Al was right there with those guys. He was outstanding.
Absolutely. Also coming up tonight at 6:30, another primetime game, and one you kind of touched on earlier. ABC, Michigan, and Oklahoma. You talk about the old Blue Bloods. And you mentioned back in the day when Michigan usually go to the Rose Bowl. But I think if my history is correct, this was the first year, because back in the early 70s, only one team would go to a bowl game. I mean, if you didn't win the Big Ten Conference, you would go nowhere. It's either the Rose Bowl or nothing. But then the rules were changed, and in the mid 70s, I should say Ohio State made it to the Rose Bowl, but Michigan then had a chance to go to the Orange Bowl and face Oklahoma, and that sort of little tidbit of college football history.
And Chad, I remember watching that game. Oklahoma had the Solomon brothers, and those two guys were scary when you watched them on TV. I mean, they were everywhere. And Michigan just came out and hit them in the mouth. It was a great game and ended up, I believe, 14-7. So it was a really defensive struggle. But a lot of people had predicted the Wolves were going to get knocked loose. They did not. That was a very competitive game.
Absolutely. But what about tonight?
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see the quarterbacks. Underwood, his first year, the number one rated quarterback in his class, Louisiana kid, and Michigan paid a considerable amount of money to get him out of Louisiana. And so be real interested to see how he does. He's a true freshman, not a redshirt freshman. And, people say that come ça. No, there's a huge difference, because those redshirt freshmen have been in the system. They know it better. So we're going to see him against a very good defense. And Mateer, who came from Washington State, another talented quarterback who's a very good runner. He has not seen at Washington State. He has not seen a defense like he's going to see tonight. Michigan is going to be after him. So very interesting game. And I would go as far as to say this is the day's best game.
Same time tonight, but on NBC at 6:30, it's Boston College at East Lansing taking on Michigan State. Tight one last season with Boston College winning on their home field 23-19. Michigan State tonight, a 4.5-point favorite. Both programs trying to establish themselves in their respective conferences. ACC for BC, and of course the Big Ten for MSU.
Bill O'Brien is at Boston College, and I thought that when Penn State had those troubles, where there was just a failure on their part to do the right thing and to step up quicker, Bill O'Brien was like a rock. That guy, he just got them through it, and every time adversity came their way, he seemed to handle it. So you always quietly cheer for him. But tonight, I'm gonna go with Jonathan Smith here in that. Last year, Michigan State lost this game, very close game, which would have got them bowl eligible. So you can bet they're going to be looking at this as another step towards getting themselves this year in Smith's second year to a bowl game.
Well, will there be a letdown, a hangover for Ohio State after their big game against Texas last week? They're home at the Shoe against Grambling State. 53-point favorites for the Buckeyes, Big Ten Network 230.
Yeah, and you and I are both a little bit shocked that the Bucks aren't kicking off at 11 o'clock because they're usually big noon. In fact, one of the big noon executives said, well, Ohio State won't complain this week with Grambling. They won't be playing in the 11 o'clock game. So I'm sure the Grambling kids are aware of the fact that they're just nobodies, according to what was said by Fox. the sad truth is, though, it won't matter. Chad, I mean, Ohio State is just better than them at every position. And Grambling, a good program, great history. Eddie Robinson, one of the great coaches of all time. They just don't have enough from a skill set, from an athletic step. No, so Ohio State wins this.
11 o'clock BTN, Penn State and Florida International 1-0 for both sides, but still Penn State 43.5-point favorites. And again, one of those check games, right?
Yeah. Well, these teams have only played once. Penn State beat them 59-0. I can't imagine it's going to be a much different result. Maybe FIU will find a way to score some points, but this will not be a competitive game as Penn State runs its record to 2-0.
And finally, you got Rutgers hosting Miami. And, of course, Miami we saw plenty of just 9 days ago. They lost their season opener to Wisconsin.
17-0.
And Rutgers 1-0 on the season. 15.5-point favorites are the Scarlet Knights. Peacock at 2:30.
Yeah, and Rutgers beat Ohio last week 34-31, a highly competitive game. And I think the general preseason thought is that Ohio is a little stronger than Miami of Ohio. But it'll be interesting to see tonight how Miami of Ohio adjusts. Chuck Martin is an excellent coach. How they adjust offensively from being shut out by the Badgers. And it'll give us another sense of the Big Ten Conference, having the Badgers played them a week ago, and now we get Rutgers to take them on.
So that is the Big Ten for this coming week. Coming up next, we're going to delve into some rankings. We're going to start with the FCS Top 15, plus some news and notes as well. Coming up next as we continue on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Thinking about changing to organic or natural foods? Then you need to stop at Red Clover Market at the Total Rental location in Weston. Family-owned Red Clover Market, your healthy natural food store. Open Monday through Saturday.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's commercial printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need offset, digital, large format, graphic design, or mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Since 1981, Lopnos has been Wausau's favorite sports bar. Grab a bit of Wausau's past while you're watching your favorite sports teams at their historic turn-of-the-century establishment. Lopnos is the perfect place to catch all the sports action on their 15 enormous flat-screen TVs, enjoy a night on the town with friends, or have a celebration in their private party room. A great place for birthdays, anniversaries, clubs, or meetings. Lopnos, Wausau's oldest and finest sports bar, 3rd Street, Wausau.
For over 40 years, Champion Insurance has been helping business owners protect themselves. They also offer protection for your home, auto, and other personal assets as well. Local family owned and operated. Champion Insurance. They got you covered. Schofield Avenue, Schofield.
And welcome back. Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app, plus at YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 channel as well. With Sully, again, I'm Chad Holmes, and time now to talk about what's going on in the FCS, the Football Championship Series, top teams in that part of college football. And you mentioned just a few minutes ago, Southern Illinois at number 15.
Yeah, the Salukis, like we said, look for athleticism. Their quarterback, their running backs, their receivers, they are truly a step below. When you say the FCS is a little behind the FBS, in terms of maybe things happen a half a step slower, a half a second slower. But nonetheless, this is a good team athletically, fun to watch. And while they will struggle in part to control the lines of scrimmage, they'll play in space just fine.
Number 14, Jackson State. Apparently, they've been able to maintain some excellence even post Deion Sanders.
Yeah, the thing about them, I honestly, Ted, I always think about the attendance. When Deion was there, they were drawing more than the bottom 5-6 teams in the Big Ten. They were at 42,000 per game. The next closest was like the Montana schools, and they were like 23, 24,000. And that's, while it's come down considerably, they're in the 20s. They are still one of the most highly attended games on any Saturday. And in terms of the FBS, they are the number one attending program in that level.
Number 13, South Dakota. They got tested last week and ran into a buzzsaw, 55-7 to Iowa State, but still a very good program.
Yeah, I think when you're talking the Dakota schools, whether it's South Dakota State, who has won it, North Dakota State has kind of been the Alabama of that level. And then even North Dakota has been formidable. They're not on the level of the other three and will struggle with Illinois State or Southern Illinois or even Northern Iowa at times. But still, this is a good FCS program.
Number 12, Austin P.
Yeah, well, there's a team out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And the thing about them.
The Governors.
Yes, they are. They're the Governors. And they, last week, they played Middle Tennessee. And this is why we're so confident that the Badgers are going to have their way today. Middle Tennessee was 0-12 on third down. The Governors just shut them down to cut off funding. They didn't give them anything. And the Badgers certainly are going to be a more formidable defense than what the Governors brought, which means that the Badgers are going to get the ball quite a bit in today's game.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to ask you a question because you got Jackson State again at number 11.
Yeah, well, they're real good. I don't know how that happened. I guess it's just me and my age. Yeah, but so we've already talked about them. And quite frankly, they play in the SWAC and do not partake in the postseason tournament. They do not play, in the FCS championship tournament. And so you really don't know a lot about them compared to how they would do against the Dakotas or against the Illinois States. So ranking them sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge, let alone ranking them twice.
Number 10, Lehigh. And,
okay. A Patriot League team.
Yeah.
Out of Pennsylvania, Lehigh and Lafayette, those two schools have the longest running rivalry in all of college football. When people talk about the Badgers and the Gophers, they're right. But that is strictly focused in the FCS ranks. And, when you're talking all of college football, Lehigh and Lafayette have the longest running rivalry.
Illinois State, number 9, they tested themselves against Oklahoma. So, I think it's good for these schools to have these kind of games, even when they lose, right?
Yeah, it was 35-3. And yet, if you watch that game, and I watched some of it, Illinois State was making Oklahoma earn everything they got. I mean, they were running with them. A lot of times when they get to the point of attack or the point of contact, Oklahoma was just better, and they'd break a tackle or they'd do something. But nonetheless, it wasn't like Illinois State was overwhelmed. They played with them. Oftentimes, though, the talent level was just a little much for them.
Up next is Villanova. And the thing about Villanova that I kind of noticed, besides being number 8, they haven't played a game yet?
No, they started the season on the 6th, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Yet. That's kind of a thing with the Ivy League. They do not start until next week. The first 3 weeks of the season, the Ivy League do not partake, and Villanova plays them. So maybe they decided, they were going to play a couple of them. And so they had to get into their conference, so they decided to start late. That's speculative on my part. I don't know that for a fact. But, when you think of Villanova, of course, you think of the round ball and the great basketball teams they have had, which have been, that program is as good as anybody's. And yet they're good in football at this level. They've advanced in the tournament. They did a year ago, and look for them in the Coastal Athletic. I'm not saying Colonial, Coastal Athletic. They're gonna be competitive again, and chances are more in favor than not that they in fact will get into the FCS tourney.
Number 7, Tarleton State, and I have to admit I have no idea where this school is, but they did beat Army, and that's a big win.
Oh, the Army kids were distraught. That game was at West Point, and Tarleton, they're good. And when I tell you where they're from, you're going to know why. They're out of Texas.
Of course.
And I'll tell you, they have a good rep down there, and they can play. I don't think they're ready to take on North Dakota State or South Dakota State. But other than maybe the very top of the FCS, this team can play. So we'll see how they do today.
Absolutely. Then number 6, Rhode Island, the Rams.
The Rams have resurrected that program. They were kind of the doormat in the Coastal Athletic Association. But that conference has gone through metamorphosis. Connecticut was in it. They're gone. UMass was in it. They're gone. So some of the better teams in that conference, which made it one of the best, if not the best conference in the FCS, has dwindled. So they're not as formidable as they've been. But Rhode Island has kind of resurrected. And if you go to the site and look at the Coastal, there are 14 teams in that league. It's the most populated of all of the FCS conferences, and they're still formidable. There are still good teams in that league.
Number 5 from the SoCon, East Tennessee State. They got a big one coming up.
Yeah, that's a team that can run. They and are very, very athletic. So we'll see how they do today. Who are they playing?
Tennessee.
Oh, my God.
Big
okay.
on the road.
All right, we're going to take a little back of what we said about it. Yeah, this is going to be.
But they got to love those kids on that team and the fans of that school, because East Tennessee State probably in the shadow of everybody at Tennessee, and to be able to go to the 100,000 seat Neyland Stadium, that's got to be an incredible experience.
There's no doubt about it. And the thing is, many of these kids, you can't say all, but many grew up playing or hoping to play at Tennessee. And so to get a chance to go into that stadium and be in that environment, the one thing is they will not be afraid. No. They will know those kids on the other side, and they're going to bring it.
Number 4, as we said, the Aggies of UC Davis.
A very good California team. Out in the Big Sky, that's the conference they're in. It used to be, it was kind of fun for me when I would put schedules together, because the Big Sky would play a lot of games against the Mountain West, where they'd be playing, San Diego State and Fresno, those California schools. Right. And from the Big Sky, you got UC Davis, you got Cal Poly, and you've got Sacramento State. All 3 of those schools from time to time are near the top of the Big Sky. And then, of course, the Mountain West would play the Pac-12. And when the Pac-12 played down the FCS, there's a Big Sky.
Let's put 3 and 2 together, because they are playing each other. You got Montana State, number 3, South Dakota State, number 2, and an early season showdown coming up.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. We knew that Oregon was going to have their way with Montana State. Although I have to say I was a little disappointed with how badly they got beat. I thought they would be more competitive.
My theory is because last season Oregon had that early season scares that they were more focused.
Yeah, the chances are they mentioned that several times too, because in that game, Chad, it was 17-14 Oregon over Idaho State. 17
Idaho, yeah.
Idaho, okay, and then Oregon managed to get another touchdown, and won the game 24-14. And then if you remember the next week, Boise State was beating them in the fourth quarter. But then after that, Oregon got it together in the way they went.
Number 1, North Dakota State. Let's keep on rolling.
And who have they got this week?
They got Tennessee State.
Okay, that would be the school that Eddie George was at. You know, the great runner from Ohio State. He just took the Bowling Green job. So Eddie left there, did good work there. It is the only time that I ever remember Notre Dame playing an FCS team, and that was Eddie George. And he was talking about what a great experience it was for his kids. But anyway, probably have suffered some. Don't know a lot about them, you know, at this point. Haven't had a lot of information on them. But over time, they've been a good team. They've been out of the Ohio Valley. Even though they're an HBCU school, they do not play in the SWAC or the MEAC. They played in the Ohio Valley, and it's now a hybrid, the Big South and the Ohio Valley.
There you got it. Top 15 in the FCS. And again, go to Sully's collegefootballpage.com. You can get all the information on those teams, those conferences. Just look again at the rankings if you missed anything. So again, Sully's collegefootballpage.com. We have another hour to go, and coming up next, it's time for the challenge. Sully's 10-game challenge. We'll bring in one of his terrific sponsors and see who knows their football. That's straight ahead.
Kevin knows his stuff, so we'll get him in here in a minute.
That's coming up here on 98.9 WXCO.
Buck Welsh has been working in the golf business since 1976, became a PGA member in 1984, and has been teaching for over 40 years. His philosophy has always been to work with the individual golfer, building on the way they do things and making them better with what they have to work with. Call Buck at 715-581-2646 or check out the website www.bucksgolfshop.com to get more info about lessons.
Eye Clinic of Wisconsin believes that clear vision and hearing are priceless. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin is equipped to handle all your eye and hearing care needs. When you need specialty and surgical eye care, why not work with the best? Let the team of professionals at Eye Clinic of Wisconsin see you. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin has 7 convenient locations that include Wausau, Antigo, Medford, Merrill, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and Wisconsin Rapids. Visit their Facebook page or website at www.eyeclinicwi.com. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, one vision, yours.
As a proud member of the Wausau Marathon, Edgar, and Athens communities, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home has built a reputation for having a deep commitment to personal service. When you need compassionate concern and expert guidance day or night, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home is the one to call. You can trust them to take care of every detail at a time it matters most. Located in Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, friends you've trusted and depended on since 1914. Krasowski Dental offers the most effective cosmetic and neuromuscular dentistry procedures and treatments. When you walk through the doors, you'll experience an incredibly comfortable and pleasant atmosphere where you'll be treated like family. Krasowski Dental offers 24-hour emergency service and care so you don't have to wait, and offers many of the newest dental technologies and perks to make your dental experience comfortable and less stressful. Schedule your appointment now with Krasowski Dental, North 17th Avenue, Wausau.
Don't you just love a good football game? Don't you just love a new car or a new truck or a new motorcycle? And don't you just love saving money? Then you'll love Clover Belt Credit Union, your go-to team for saving money with a great rate vehicle loan. Great rates are what make Clover Belt the leader in vehicle loans. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs. If it's got a motor and it rolls on wheels, Clover Belt Credit Union has the great rate financing you want. Give us a call and we'll get your great rate loan rolling. Clover Belt Credit Union, your team for great rates.
The Dirks Group started in 1999 as an alternative to traditional IT service providers. From the start, they focused on customized solutions for the needs of each client. Today, they serve over 400 customers from locations in Wausau and Eau Claire. Go to dirksgroup.com for more information.
Charity's Bar in Marathon City. Great food, great service, a great place to meet friends. Come on down and watch the game or just hang out. It's Charity's Bar on County Road and in Marathon City.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM. Mobile devices. I almost said his last name. Mobile devices by searching WXCO. Civic Media app, and of course on YouTube at youtube.com and our 98.9 WXCO channel. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. And we always start the second hour of the show, Sully, by putting on your thinking cap and going at it and putting yourself out there, not just talking about the games, but picking the games. And to do it, you always bring in one of the great supporters, because without the support, you can't do the site, you can't do the show, and you
None
can't,
of this happens.
and you can't put yourself out there as Mr. College Football.
Well, you know, and our guest today.
I'm really laying it on thick.
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
You're as red as your shirt and hat now.
One of the great sponsors we have is Kevin Mulliver. Kevin is the CEO at Advantage Insurance and at Redant, and has been with us, Kev, since we started this in about 2012. And, you know, as Kev knows, we're able to contribute money to charities and nonprofits. And, you know, and in that vein, he has been one of the most active guys that I know in terms of doing community work and community services, which is always a great thing. You love to see people who have been very successful turn around and give back to the community. So, Kev, thank you for all your work, and thank you for your sponsorship.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, the thing about it, though, the charity stops now, because no charity in this battle.
He's in trouble right now.
No charity here. You got to go after him and show him basically what you know. But before we start, talk a little bit about the business.
Once again, my name is Kevin Mulliver for Advantage Insurance, and also I have Redant in Root Mountain. Started my business started Advantage from scratch. Oh, that's like 18 years ago. Almost getting toward 20 years. I have the old Quick Trip on Grand Avenue right across from the cemetery. I have that location. I love my neighbors. They're nice and quiet.
Isn't it wonderful, real quick, though, that those of us of a certain age can remember those kind of things, like 20 plus years ago when it was a quick trip?
I had a lot of people lost, and I said, no quick trip. Oh, yeah, now I know that.
But continue.
Yeah, so what we are independent insurance agency, so we do personal and commercial, from your auto insurance, home insurance. We do life insurance, umbrella, your toys. So if you have that boat, ATV, UTV, motorcycle, your larger tractor, people will do some, different things nowadays. Even some of your low powered vehicles, we're able to take care of whatever you have on the personal side. And also on the commercial side, we'll do a small business account from a few $100 all the way up to, a 6-digit account, large manufacturing, whatever you're looking for. We have all the different carriers. We probably have over like 4 dozen different carriers to assist our individuals in making sure we get them the best spot possible.
Fantastic. All right, now time to take the insurance hat off and put the college football hat on, and we'll start the 10-game challenge. But Sul, will you want something first?
Yeah, I was just gonna. I told Kevin that last week you didn't want to start what we perceived was the best game.
I am starting at the bottom again.
There,
I think we're going to do that again. We're
it's
going to
hard to get ahead of this guy.
Yeah, we're starting at the bottom and we're working our way to the top. And The first game is a really good, again, a matchup between power conferences, the SEC and the Big 12. You got Mississippi State and Arizona State. And as our guest, Kevin, you get to go first.
Well, I'm going to choose the one that I think Sully has a little hard time spelling. So I'm going to take him back to grade school here. It's kind of like M-I, crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I. So I'm going with Mississippi State.
You know, that's actually going to help me. I had never heard that, but I might have, instead of calling them Miss State, you know. I'll tell you what, last year, Kev, this game was a one-score game. And I mean, Mississippi State played right with them. I'm going to go with Kenny Dillingham, though. Arizona State had a great run last year. Had a great game with Texas, and really were victimized by a targeting call that was not called. But nonetheless, I'm going to say Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State get this done against a very competitive Mississippi State team.
All right. So we got one difference already out of one game. Our second game should be a conference game. These teams should be in the same conference, but they're not. You got SMU from the Atlantic Coast Conference, or as I call it, the All Coast Conference. You could still call it ACC because you got the West Coast, the East Coast, and then in the middle as well.
Yeah.
But SMU and then Baylor from the Big 12. So what do you think?
Well, this game is a very interesting game. There's a lot of Texas dollars flowing around here. SMU is at home, and so I'm going to give them the edge. Last week, Baylor lost a challenging game. And so while they're going to bring it, to Auburn 30, I think it was 38-24. Yep. And so I'm gonna lean, Kev, towards SMU. I'm gonna say the Mustangs get this done.
Well, we're going to go for 2 for 2 here because I'm going to go for Baylor because they're going to get their act together this time and they're going to actually put the win on the board.
Well, you're with Phil Steele. He's got him picked to win the Big 12.
Well, if Miranda goes 0-2, the heat goes up again. It seems like every other week he has the heat on, then he finds ways to win. It's been sort of a real up and down tenure for him, hasn't it?
If I remember right, last year they started out, they struggled. They were like 2-3, and then they won 5 in a row or something.
Right. Yeah. So, we got 2 difference out of 2. That's good. We like that here.
We should be able to keep track of that.
Next up, again, a really good non-conference matchup. Michigan State at home taking on Boston College. And Kevin.
I'm going to go for the East Coast individuals here. So maybe they want their crawdaddies or whatever their maybe Little Lobster. I'm going to go for Boston College.
Well, we're going to go 3 for 3 now because Michigan State lost this game a year ago, 23-19. Great game. Watched it. Pulling for the Spartans. And so I think this time at home at Spartan Stadium, they're going to find a way and get Billy O'Brien and the, what are they now? The Friars or
the Eagles?
Eagles. That's it. Boston University. Maybe they're the Friars.
So 3 out of 3 difference. So let's see if we can make it 4 in a row. Because again, one of the really terrific games at 11 o'clock today has Iowa State at home against Iowa. And the what is it? The Cy-Hawk Trophy game.
Trophy,
Yep, Cy-Hawk Trophy game. This time, Sully, you're up first.
Okay, I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to say that Iowa finds a way in this game. Kurt Ferentz has kind of had his way against Matty Campbell. And so, Kev, I'm going to go with, they're the visitors, though. They're at Ames. I'm going to go with Iowa and that defense. And hopefully Grabowski, if I'm saying that guy's name right, he came from South Dakota State. Good player there. I'm going to say that Iowa finds a way.
Kevin?
I thought I never like choosing the upsets here. Now, come on here now. I'm going to actually agree this time. I'm going to agree with Iowa.
That's never a good idea.
You're both wrong, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, you be with them.
Next up, another really good non-conference game. Illinois travels to Durham to take on the Duke Blue Devils. And Kevin?
Well, after just coming back from Illinois earlier in the month, I got to feel sorry for them. So I'm going to go with Illinois.
Yeah, the Fibs, right? The fabulous Illinois boys. I'm going to go. I'm with you on this. I think Bielema goes down to Durham, and they find a way against Matty Diaz's club. So Illinois first real challenge of 2025. And I'm going to say, Kev, I'm with you. They get it done.
All right, that's 5 of the 10 games here on the 10-game challenge on Sully's college football page. Before we continue and see if we can get 3 more different out of the next 5, Kevin, a few more pieces of information. Again, you said it, you've been 18 years to start from scratch. Has to be very proud to be able to establish yourself in the insurance business, but just generally to start something brand new, it has to be very, very proud. And what's been the key? What again that you provide for folks here in Central Wisconsin?
I think where we set ourselves apart is we provide the customization of the plans. We actually go over the coverages with the individuals. It's not just we don't just base it quickly on the price and that's it. I want you to understand what coverages you have or what you don't have. And then you're a big boy or big girl. You can decide then if you want that or you're not. But at least then you have the opportunity to understand what coverage you have or what coverage you do not have, because a lot of people think they buy the policy, they're covered for everything. Unfortunately, but true. Beginning of the month here, the floods got hit in Milwaukee. Actually, we were coming back from moving my daughter to Ohio, coming back at the time that the rains were going on, going through the area. And from that, had multiple claims from there. I probably sold about 24 flood policies. But it's the people that were buying the policies were the friends, family members and friends that were not affected. Okay. Unfortunately, the ones that were affected did not have coverage or had limited coverage. And that's the difference of, in my opinion, the policies that we sell compared to my competition. You're going to know what coverage you have. You're going to know what coverage you don't have. If you decide not to take it, then that's on you. But otherwise, we're going to actually have that consultative approach to try to help you understand, because a lot of people think the flood is so expensive. One of the policies I sold for was only $300 some for the whole year. So it's minimum, then it has maximum coverage. On a flood, the maximum you get is $250,000 for your house and $100,000 for your contents. And now only $300 some for the year. That's pretty dirt cheap. Of course, if you're in a true flood zone, then it's going to be thousands of dollars. But once again, if unfortunately you're the one, your house is washing away, you need all you can get.
Right.
So.
And I can tell you, Kev, I have been in your office when we're meeting to go over this year's, info. I've heard Kevin talk to potential clients, and I have to say it's pretty comprehensive. And you're going to wait a few minutes because Kevin's going to take care of him, explaining exactly what this policy entails. So very good, Kevin.
Kevin Maliver of Redanton Advantage Insurance. It does matter which insurance you do choose, right?
Thank you. Yes,
absolutely.
Very
so
true.
Let's continue. Game number 6 of the 10-game challenge. The Oregon Ducks, coming off that impressive win to start off their season, take on the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. This game in Eugene on the Ducks home field. Sully, you're first.
Yes, and we talked earlier, Mike Gundy, really out of character, which I'm saying quite facetiously, ran his mouth this week about Oregon and dollar signs as to why they're as good as they are. So I'm sure Danny Lanning is quite aware of that, the Oregon coach. All of that said, Oregon just is the better team here. They're at home. There's no reason to think that Oklahoma State has the wherewithal to go in there, in my opinion, and get them. So I'm going to go with Oregon.
Kevin?
I would have to respond in just one little phrase, quack. I'll use the Ducks here also.
Yeah, we got it.
Next up is a really good rivalry, and they go after each other no matter what sport. Missouri and Kansas, and really, is it being played at Arrowhead again? They seem to play this game, I think, at Arrowhead every year. They're sort of in the middle of but I'm not sure off the top of my head. But nevertheless, really a good battle between the Tigers and the Jayhawks. And we'll start with you, Kevin.
Well, so unfortunately, true. Sometimes that's like your business owner yourself. Sometimes you're beating your head against the wall, and it is a little bit misery. So I'm going to go with Missouri.
Sully?
Well, I'm checking, Chad, to see where this game is, and I don't think it's at Arrowhead. There was a game there. It's at Missouri. It is a home
I know
game
in the past they had played this.
Border war, Kansas, I played really well last week. They played Wagner, but they are 2-0, and they beat Fresno, who's a good FCS or a good group of 5 team solidly. So I'm going to stay within the Wisconsin ties, and I'm going to go with Lance Leipold, who is now the coach at Kansas, to upset the SEC and Eli Drinkowitz. And notice, Chad, I didn't say Eli Wallach, which I have said for years, from the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Next up is Kentucky and Mississippi. So that's actually a conference game here this early. That's nice to see from time to time. Kentucky and Mississippi, and this time it's Sully.
Okay, now Mark Stoops has done great work there, and we've talked about this over the years, Kev. He's, it's a basketball school. If you're going to classify schools, certainly been a great history in basketball with Rupp and such. That said, he's under a lot of pressure right now. People are trying to move away from Stoops, and they forget that.
What was it before, right?
Yeah, when he got there and they gave him a ball because it had points, most people in Kentucky stared at it. So desperate game. Mississippi, no question, has the better talent, but I'm going to go with Kentucky at home, given the importance of the game to them. So I'm looking at another upset here. Kentucky gets Ole Miss.
And Kevin.
Well, if you be thinking of soccer, I want to say ole, ole, ole. I want to go with Ole Miss.
Okay.
Very good. Our ninth game is Florida and South Florida. Boy, South Florida was one of the stories of the early part of the year, the way that they just whooped up on Boise State a week ago Thursday. And Florida and Sully's man, Billy Napier.
Yeah, Billy. He was under a ton of pressure.
Yeah. But Florida and South Florida. And Kevin, you get to go first this time.
I'm gonna go with this. Well, they're actually both in Florida, so I guess I'm gonna go with. I was gonna make a comment, but no, I can't do that. I'm gonna go with Florida as my choice here.
Yeah, and as much as I like South Florida athletically, I don't think today it's gonna matter. That DJ Ladway, that guy, their quarterback, Kev, he is 6'4", 241. He is a runaway locomotive with a cannon for an arm. And the guy extends instead of escapes. He will widen out and keep his eye down the field. He's fun to watch. So if nothing else, watching him in that game would be worth it. But I'm with you, Kev. I think that Florida is just too much. And the athleticism that South Florida brings won't matter, because Florida will match it and then some.
And then finally, the big one tonight, Oklahoma and Michigan. It's always fun when Bo Schembechler and Barry Switzer. No, I guess not. They don't get together anymore. But two blue bloods in college football to have a big primetime showdown in Norman. And who's going first here? Is it Kevin or Saul? Saul?
That's me. Yes.
After 10 games, my mind is spinning here.
You're not alone. The thing about this game that first jumped out at me, Kev, this is only the second time these teams have played. I mean, I would have thought over the years they would schedule a home and home, go to Norman, come to Ann Arbor. Bowl games, you think they only met once in the bowl. And a great game. I watched it. Oklahoma won 14-7. Very
50 years ago, and you remember it like yesterday.
That game sticks out. They had the Solomon brothers, I think. But
Solomon,
Leroy
and Dewey.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, the reality here is some interesting quarterbacks in this game. Johnny Mateer and Underwood, the true freshman who was the number one player in his class, as well as the number one quarterback. So a lot of storylines in this game, Kev, and I am going to go with the Big Ten. I'm going to say Michigan goes in there and defends Mateer and doesn't let him run around, keeps him boxed, and Michigan gets a well-fought win here in Norman.
Kevin, are you going to go with Sully or are you going to go with Oklahoma?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with Sully on this one. I'll choose Michigan here also.
You're both wrong again, I tell you. Oh, man.
And Kev, as always, you get the final word here about what you want to share with Advantage or Redant.
Yeah. What I want to say to individuals, I mean, there's a lot of people looking for insurance nowadays. So make sure you do your due diligence, ask the questions that are appropriate, reach on out. We're happy to help you. You'll find we're a little bit different. Even if you have questions, also answer your questions there for you. I want to make sure the customer is taken care of, even if they don't choose us. But I think if you give this the opportunity to give us a call, you will be choosing Advantage Insurance or Redant.
There you go, Kevin. Again, we're going to keep track of this one. I'm very curious because it's always fun when you have a few different ones. So it's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on. But Kevin, again, thanks for coming on in. Always fun to have you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Coming
Kev.
up, we have more rankings because Sully believes in the group of five. So we're going to have the group of five rankings and then, of course, the Power Four as well as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Where did the good old days go? From going to the old A&W drive-in to cruising the strip in town, all things change. Some things stay consistent. For almost 75 years, Redant Insurance in Rib Mountain has been providing quality service to its customers. One of the oldest agencies in the area. Your family and neighbors come here. Now it's your turn. Call 715-845-9204. Click redantinsurance.com or stop by 227501 Rib Mountain Drive. Redant Insurance Agency, our family helping yours.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
Kemp Service Center was established in 1951 and to this day is still family owned. That's 70 years of serving the Wausau area with the best in auto and truck repair. Kemp certified mechanics service all makes and models, including imports. Don't wait to the last minute to get your oil changed. Kemp's can get the job done in no time. Kemp Service Center is open Monday through Saturday at the corner of North 6th Street and East Wausau Avenue in Wausau.
You don't have to choose between personal, hometown service, and the latest banking technology. Brokaw Credit Union has it all. Whether you're looking to finance your first home, grow your savings, or get a new set of wheels, we're here to help. Check us out at brokawcu.com. It's hard to find great Italian food in Wausau unless you're familiar with Carmelo's Italian Restaurant. Established in 1986 by the Oliva family, 3 generations still strive to provide a family atmosphere and fine dining experience. Carmelo's is proud to serve authentic Italian made with fresh ingredients. Their recipes have been handed down from generation to generation. Reservations are recommended Tuesdays through Sundays, and they are closed on Mondays. Carmelo's Italian Restaurant, located at the base of Granite Peak on North Mountain Road, Wausau. Check them out at carmelositalian.com. And welcome back. It's Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. And so let's jump right in because we have more rankings to talk about. And of course, as we talk about every week, you split it up between the group of 5 and the Power 4. You've been a champion of the group of 5 for many, many years, talking about getting their own tournament at the end of the season. And I think we're getting closer and closer to that every year. But you always have these rankings to focus on the group of 5 and to talk about some of the best teams in that part of college football.
Well, you know, we looked at that early on as on the show, wanting to talk about more teams. And then when you look at the rankings, you would see there were very few group of 5 teams. You know, typically a Boise, maybe when Central Florida was, you know, in the American, or Cincy or one of those teams, but not generally speaking. So we decided the way for us to get to talk about more teams was to break the rankings apart. And then, Chad, I think we kind of evolved with that, saying, why don't they just have their own tournament? Because financially, they're not even in the same planet or on the same planet as these Power 4
and
teams.
It's getting worse and worse in that realm every year that goes by. So let's go through with groups of 3 with the group of 5 here with the top 20. So let's talk number 20 is Central Michigan. And then it's number 19, Louisiana Tech. And then number 18, UConn. And one thing in common for all these teams, they all face really tough road games against Power 4 teams today.
Yeah. I'm looking at, Syracuse and LSU, and then Pitt.
Yeah.
So all three formidable teams. Let's, we're kind of under the gun here with time. So
Yeah.
let's take a look at UConn
Mhm.
and, the resurrection that's gone on there, and impressive. And look for them to continue that march to being the competitive program they have been of recent.
And of course, so we do have to go through these rather quickly, but again, you folks out there can go to sullyscollegefootballpage.com and get complete information and a complete look at the top 20 teams in the group of 5, 17 through 15, and they're all from the MAC. Number 17, Buffalo, number 16, Miami of Ohio, and number 15, Ohio University. They're all 0-1.
Yeah, and they all played Big Ten teams, and, I think Buffalo was in the game. It was a competitive game. It ended up 2-score a game, but nonetheless, not one of those typical, or not typical, but often seen where the FCS just gets blown out by the Power Four. And then Ohio gave Rutgers everything they wanted. That game was tied 31-31, and Rutgers found a way at the end. So all three of these teams are very capable teams.
Number 14 from the Mountain West, Boise State. They're going to try to bounce back. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they were number 1 last week, if I'm not mistaken.
On our poll, yes, they were.
Yep, number 13, Liberty, and then number 12, James Madison.
And Boise State won last night, so they've begun their march back. They're now 1-1. And if you look at Liberty and James Madison, two really good group of 5 teams. James Madison last night got beat by Louisville, but it was a competitive game. I think it ended up 28-14, but it was 14-14 in the late third quarter. So James Madison played well. And Louisville is really a very, very good program. They've got the quarterback from SC who left there after having a decent year a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So look at, if you look at them, they're going to make some noise, I think, in the ACC.
Couple of Mountain West teams as we continue up the rankings. Number 11 from the Mountain West Air Force. Number 10, UNLV. And number 9 is North Texas. They're from is that the American?
Yeah, it's the American. Yeah. The American now has, for kind of clarification, they're no longer the ACC, AAC.
So many names.
Which, I'm saying it's confusing while I'm being confused. The AC they are simply referred to as the American or the American Conference now. The thing I wanted to
real quickly, which means absolutely nothing, because it used to be where you had a sense of where a conference was from. The American Conference means nothing.
Well, you could take the other shoe and say it's more apropos since these conferences are all over the country.
You're
it's
right.
all
You're
America.
right.
Anyway, I wanted to mention UNLV.
Mhm.
Next year, all these teams are leaving. And they're, a bunch of the teams in the Mountain West, as you know, are going into the Pac, whatever it's going to be, 7, or I think they got to get to 8. And I think they did. They got Texas State is now going in. That said, I think they missed the team they really needed, and that was UNLV. And you can bet they were trying to get them, given the popularity of football now in that city, that the Pac-12 wanted, and I would go as far as to say needed. They didn't get them. The Mountain West kept them. So it'd be interesting going forward to see how that, if it stays true to form, or if you got a little more realignment.
But of course, in negotiations, if you give up too much to one school, it makes everybody else weaker. So if not knowing what the details are, and I agree that having a market like Las Vegas would be a great thing, but you can't give them the entire boat either.
Yeah, because you've lost, for all intent and purposes, Los Angeles.
Yep.
But you're right. You can't throw.
How many years? Remember when it was Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12? There was a lot of jealousy because they got special deals to keep them happy for all those years.
Well, I've always appreciated the way that Texas and Oklahoma for many of those years were in different conferences. Oklahoma was in, as you remember, the Big 8, and Texas was in the Southwest Conference, which the SEC, of course, called the So What Conference. But Texas, I've always liked the way they count money.
They
SC,
do.
TCU gets $1, Texas gets, Texas Tech gets Texas gets
Yeah,
$1.
that's the way it works.
Oh,
Yep.
it was. And the guy, Nebraska, that's why they left, because they extended a hand when that conference, the So What Conference, failed. And the next thing you know, Texas was running the newly formed Big 12, which didn't sit very well with Tommy Osborne and other guys.
Number 8, Texas State, just mentioned. Number 7, Texas San Antonio. And number 6, the Naval Academy.
Right. Texas State and North Texas, when I was recording games last year, I was watching those two teams, and they were both winning, both Texas teams. And I thought it'd be cool if they got in a bowl game. They did. They ended up playing a great game. It was, I think, 30-27. So Texas State, Texas San Antonio, UTSA lost a tough game to A&M, but played well. And, Navy really has a great quarterback. And, you look for them to compete for the American Conference Championship.
Number 5, Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Number 4, another MAC team, Toledo. And number 3, Memphis.
Yeah, all three of these teams can play. Western Kentucky, they have they're playing Toledo.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 4 here.
Yeah, and one of the best games of the day. I'll be real anxious to see how Toledo steps up, against, Western Kentucky. Because Western Kentucky, I remember a year in basketball where they threw the ball the length of the court and they ended up beating Marquette, or Marquette beat them. Maybe it was Whitehead who caught the ball. But anyway, great game. And that was my first introduction to Western Kentucky.
And then the top 2 teams, South Florida and Tulane. And mentioned earlier that South Florida plays Florida today. Next week, they got Miami. So you can call those really, really tough, but also really, really great opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm sure the kids are seeing it that way. The coaches are. But, I think the fans at some point who want wins are thinking that the athletic director really does not like to coach very much.
But really, you talk about Boise State, Florida, and Miami, just, started off their year. I don't know if you have it much tougher than that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but the Alabama-Florida State was probably the biggest surprise last week, the way Florida State got that done. But I'll tell you, South Florida beating Boise 34-7 was nearly as much of a shock. I mean, I was really surprised that they just took the, Spencer Daniels team and just pushed them aside.
So you went from picking against Tulane last week to making them number 1 this week.
Yeah, well, they went out and took care of business. I like your point, though. I did not know about the Katrina deal.
They got mad, and they showed it.
Hey, well, Tulane, most people up north don't know about their history, but they were initial members in the SEC. They were, when the better teams in the South, or many of the best teams in the South formed the Metro. Tulane was involved in that. And so they have great football tradition there.
Coming up, we're going to go to the Power 4 and talk about the top 25 there as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
The Mint Cafe, serving old-fashioned American comfort food in a cozy atmosphere. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your choice is the Mint Cafe. Call ahead for carryouts, deliveries to downtown Wausau, and catering is also available. Check them out at mintcafewausau.com.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258. Are you looking to furnish a new home, apartment, or cabin? Are you looking for quality clothing at a reasonable price? Well, if you are, be sure to stop at St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau. Make them your first stop, your one-stop shop for furniture, clothing, accessories, home products, and much more. And remember, St. Vincent de Paul in Wausau is more than just a thrift store. It's a local ministry meeting the needs of our community. Your purchases benefit those in need right here at home. So shop St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau, where your purchases benefit your neighbors.
Since 1997, Mountain Bay Auto Care has been serving central Wisconsin with top quality and affordable car repair and service. With ASE certified mechanics, stop by 5702 Stella Avenue in Schofield or call 715-355-8646. The warmth of your home is about making memories with family and friends and enjoying life celebrations. At Menzner Hardwoods Marathon, they understand the importance of bringing warmth to a place you call home. For over a century, their fifth-generation family business has been creating beautiful woodwork for the home and office, just as they have for over 130 years. Menzner Hardwoods looks forward to providing you with elegant wood products to enhance the beauty of your home or office. Visit them at menznerhardwoods.com. Menzner Hardwoods, timeless beauty for your home or office. The Eat Fresh Refresh doesn't stop at your local Wausau Subways. When the urge hits, make sure to stop by any of the 4 Wausau Subway locations at 1609 Merrill Avenue, 330 East Bridge Street, 1819 West Stewart Avenue, and 4300 Rib Mountain Drive in Walmart. Catering, remote ordering, curbside pickup, and Subway delivery all available. And make sure to use the Subway app when you need Subway. Subway with 4 Wausau locations.
Buck's Golf Shop for all of your golfing needs. Located at 903 Grand Avenue, Suite C8, Rothschild, Wisconsin, 54474 in the Bushka & Bushka Insurance Building on the east side. Specializing in Badger, Bucks, Brewer, and Hacker golf-related items. Green Tag sale is 30% off the retail price. Call 715-581-2646 or email wellsgolf@pcpros.net.
At People's State Bank, we think checking accounts are like SUVs. That's why we offer more features to fuel your lifestyle. The best part? You can open an account without leaving your driveway. Just visit bankpeoples.com today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO. Time for the top 25 in the Power 4 rankings. Again, you get all these rankings by going to sullyscollegefootballpage.com. We may go through them rather quickly, but again, you can take your time, go deep into each of these teams by going to the website. Lots of great results and information, everything you need if you're a college football fan. And of course, the game simulator is back up and running.
It is. The NCAA is a little tardy with the red zone. So they usually wait a week or two before they enter that data. And right now, if you go to the NCAA and go to red zone, you'll see what's up as last year's data.
All right, we're going to go in groups here again. If you need more information, be able to go deeper into it. 25 through 23, because you have two 24s listed.
We do. We couldn't decide on that, so we just said, we're not going to talk anymore, but we'll just list them both.
Number 25 is Texas A&M, then two 24s, and both were very impressive wins by beating power conference foes, Utah and Georgia Tech. And number 23, Ole Miss.
Yeah, and the guy that jumps out at you is Haynes King, the quarterback at Georgia Tech. He is something else, really fun to watch. He never gets mentioned as the best quarterback, but he is always talked about when you talk about the top quarterbacks, and he's right there. And then I was really impressed with what Utah did to UCLA. They just came out, slobber knocked them, and gave them nothing, from their perspective on the defensive side of the ball.
And Brent Key has really done a job at Georgia Tech. I remember when he took over in the middle of a season, it wasn't thought of, I thought, as him and being the long-term answer. But since he took over, he's really turned that program around, hasn't he?
He has. And, the thing you like about him is he is a no-nonsense, direct kind of guy. He'll tell you what he thinks. He's not flowery, or he just says what's on his mind. And, I believe he was the offensive line coach. And I'll tell you, he comes across that way, smart and direct. And I'll tell you, that seems to be a formula for winning, because that's what they've been doing since he's taken over.
22 through 19, you have 3 Big Ten teams and an SEC squad. You got Nebraska at 22, USC at 21, Michigan 20, and Florida number 19. You talk about, big names in college football. They're all big names from 22 to 19.
I mean, every one of those teams, I think you'd agree, is a blue blood.
They've all won national championships.
Yep, and the chances are these teams are going to be moving up. I am very interested to see what Michigan's able to do with Oklahoma. Big game tonight. Florida is in probably the most athletic game of the day, playing South Florida. Nebraska and SC are taking on 2 teams that they're probably going to have their way with. And one of the things we do with the rankings, Chad, and you and I have talked about preseason rankings and why they can be not very good. And that is related to you don't know enough about them.
Right.
And you've got to watch, not only are they winning, but who are they beating? And
not to penalize teams for playing good opponents.
100% accurate. That I did drop Indiana from the top 25 because of their non-conference schedule. They played Old Dominion. Now they're playing Kennesaw State. And then next week, they're playing Indiana State, a team that's in the Missouri Valley football. That's not that good. So, yes, win, but who are you beating? And then if you are like Texas, willing to go play at Ohio State, you should not be bumped out of the top 10 because of the loss.
And 18 through 15, you got a team at 18 who did play a very tough non-conference opponent, lost, Baylor. The team that they lost to, number 17, Auburn, number 16, Iowa State, and number 15, TCU, a team that was sort of the afterthought in the big Bill Belichick comes to North Carolina story on Monday night, and it turned out that TCU was the big story in that game.
And we had talked last week, and I think we both agreed that Sonny Dykes, is not going to, as great as Belichick is, he's new to the college game. Sonny Dykes has been there forever. And I think he was one of the few guys who would look across the field and not really care who's there.
And then you have 14 through 11 at number 14, Oklahoma. Again, looks like at least early on, the feeling is that they're bouncing back after a couple of tough seasons in the SEC. Then another SEC team, South Carolina. They had to battle, but they ultimately defeated Virginia Tech last week. Number 12, Tennessee, I thought very impressively beating Syracuse. And then Alabama, man, oh man, Alabama, number 11. And you said it earlier, Florida State, after their rough go of it last season, had a great start winning at home against Alabama. But all those questions about Caden DeBoer will bubble up yet again.
Oh, it's a mess down there. The thing that my son and I talked about was that 2-10 last year versus this year beating Alabama. When you look at their roster, Ted, you can go on our site and go to recruiting, and we do it over a 4-year time frame. They belong in this game, Florida State.
Of course.
It as shocking as this game was, in my opinion, it was more shocking what happened last year when they went 2-10. Because come on, man, that roster is better than just about everybody they played. So big win for them. A good statement. Now, one other thing to mention quickly about Alabama, the boosters are unhappy because here's what they saw before the Florida game, before the game against Florida State. They saw Alabama players at 1:30 in the morning in the lounge or in the lobby eating pizza and guys coming and going. And, of course, they're putting up millions of dollars. A lot of them said this is nonsense. And some of the Bama fans on Paul Feinbaum were saying they want him fired. And they're saying, wait a minute, it's $70 million buyout. And you already got to pay 20-some million next year for athletes. You got another possible 10 million because of the increased scholarship in other sports. So it's not going to happen. I mean, there is no way that Bama can afford this.
No kidding. Wow. My first thought, though, real quickly before we take our final break, is that if they do move on at some point, and I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, do you think that they're going to try to find somebody very close to Nick Saban, somebody that's worked very close to Nick Saban as the next Alabama coach? I would think it would be a slam dunk because they want to go back to St. Nick.
So where would you go? Would you go to a guy like Danny Mullen?
Who knows?
I don't know where you would look.
I know.
Unless you go get Johnny Wooden and have him. There's not a coach really in college that rises to the level of what Saban's been able to do.
All right. So next up, we will have the top 10. Those names we haven't said yet. You're probably wondering, where are they? Well, maybe a few of those will be coming up in the top 10 coming up next here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Crab River Golf Course in Wausau is a unique 18-hole public course. The relaxed atmosphere and breathtaking Northwood scenery is sure to make your golfing day a satisfying experience. For membership information and tee times, call Crab River Golf Course at 715-675-3044.
France Propane at 1153 Foundry Street in Schofield is a local family-owned complete service company serving central Wisconsin for over 2 generations. France Propane is a value-driven company whose goal every day is to provide excellent service, maintain the highest safety, reliability in customer care, and competitive pricing. France Propane, service first, safety always. Check out France Propane at francepropane.com. For over 30 years, Webco has worked with corporations, schools, organizations on their apparel and promotional needs. Webco can handle small quantities to orders in the thousands with a fast turnaround. Webco of Wausau, 1405 West Thomas Street.
The Central Wisconsin School of Ballet is celebrating over 52 years of dance instruction. They offer classes in ballet, jazz, contemporary, modern, tap, and musical theater for ages 2 to 99. And did you know that ballet is used by college football teams as a conditioning and cross-training program? Stop in for a trial class, call for a brochure, or email your questions to the studio.
North End Pub, cold beer, clever conversation, all stories cross-referenced for validity. If you're looking for a nice spot to hang with friends, North End Pub will do the trick. Stop in for thirst relief today. North End Pub, North 3rd Avenue, Wausau.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. Lots of rankings. And again, the way Sully does it, he has the Power 4 top 25, the Group of 5 top 20, and the FCS top 15. And
correct.
They're all at the website. So you can go to Sully's College Football Page.com, have a complete look at all these rankings. And again, that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the information you get at the site.
Chad, and what that allows us to do is talk about 60 different teams, which on the show we like to mention as many as we can.
All right, let's get into the top 10 and move through these. Number 10, Notre Dame. They lost to Miami last week.
I'll tell you, that game, I was a little disappointed, and I typically don't pay much attention to them, but I was a little disappointed in how the game was called. It was like Notre Dame started the game. They threw, of the first 8 plays, 7 of them were passes. You got 2 All-Americans sitting in the backfield doing nothing with Love and Price, and you were like trying to nursemaid C.J. Carr. Come on, man. He won the starting job at Notre Dame. You've been talking about him for turning him loose. He was 4 of 7 on throws that were outside of 10 yards for 140 some yards. So why did he only throw the ball 7 times down the field? Everything was outs. In fact, the game turned on a quick out that he threw that was picked. So I thought in part Notre Dame really coached that game not to have C.J. Carr lose it.
And then you have Miami at number 9.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit. That Bain kid is a beast. Notre Dame could not block him. And at the end of that game, when Notre Dame had about 1:10 to try to get down the field, and they didn't need a score, a touchdown, they just needed a field goal. That offensive line just got chewed up. He got sacked twice, and the one throw he did make, he had virtually no time.
3 teams in the top 10 lost their first game, including Clemson, a top 10 battle against LSU. Number 8 Clemson lost to LSU 17-10.
Yeah, and Grun and I both picked Clemson, but we did say that Nussmeier may be the best quarterback in the country, and Kloppernick, who people, Klubnik, who a lot of people say is really kind of got outplayed in this game. Great game as advertised, ends up 17-10, and LSU ends that 5-game opening day week and loss.
From the outhouse of 2-10 to the penthouse of the number 7 ranking is Florida State after their win against Alabama.
Yeah, now this is a big jump from nowhere to 7. It was kind of like they were running around the Bermuda Triangle, which may be the only way to explain that roster. But nonetheless, a huge win for Mike Norvell, and really one that you were happy for them in that they struggled mightily last year, and there were so many things being said about him that it was good to see him come out and get this done.
Number 6, Oregon. And you mentioned that the Montana State win, of course you expect it, but 59-13, that was a bit of a statement for Oregon, wasn't it?
I really thought that Montana State would play a little better defensively, because what they're going to do with them is they're going to try to keep them in front of them because of their speed inside. You can't let those kids get on the perimeter and then smack them. But I'll tell you what, Oregon was the aggressor, and they just blew up Montana State. It was like what you were saying based on last year. Oregon came ready to play as if it was Ohio State or somebody at the other end.
Number 5 is Georgia. Still haven't seen them against top-notch opposition, so I think a little mystery still there.
Yeah, we're going to see him against Austin Peay, and I'm pretty sure Austin Peay will not have Georgia go 0 for 12 on third down like Middle Tennessee. But again, Kirby is anxious to get this going. Yeah. Lot of dismissive things said about him, and I think this game, and then it's either the following week or the week after they got Alabama. And, people will be shocked, unless they listen to us regularly, to know that in the last 10 games, Alabama has beaten Georgia 9 times. And so when they say Kirby's replaced Saban, that would be Lou Corso, not so fast, my friend.
Then you have at number 4, LSU. And boy, that was a big win for Kelly and the Bayou Bengals, 17-10. Just for the narrative. If they would have lost again in their opener, which they've done for a handful of years, the narrative again would have been, why can't you do it, Brian Kelly? We pay you all this money to take us to that next level.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest. Kelly is not the most loved guy wherever he's been. He seems to rub people the wrong way. The thing that was most interesting about him was he developed a Southern accent after only a week down in Louisiana.
He's good.
Yeah, he must have absorbed in the culture. But it was a big win for him. And to kind of distance himself from that 0-3 start on, he was responsible for 3 of the losses. And, that SC game a year ago, they should have won that game, but big win for LSU.
Number 3 is Texas. Again, 14-7 at Ohio State last week. It was not an overwhelming debut as the new starter for Arch Manning.
Right, and now people are saying he's not that good.
I know. Huh?
It just goes beyond any kind of the pressure on him. You forget he's 20, 21. The pressure on him is immense. Now he's playing in front of 105,000 people against perhaps the most athletic and skilled and then mentally tough defense in the country. So to say it was a baptism of fire would be an understatement.
Penn State number 2 after their win against Nevada.
Yeah, you look at what Ohio State did, so we kind of flipped them. Penn State had virtually no problems. 46-11, they blew them out. And, we're not going to learn a lot more. Penn State, sadly, is another team that is not playing a Power 4 opponent in non-conference play. Now, interestingly, a lot of people are projecting them as national champs. 2 years ago, when Michigan won it, did not play a Power 5. Last year, Ohio State did not play a non-conference Power 5. And now here Penn State is doing the same thing. And, of course, your buddy Petiti is cheering for them because he would like 3 national champs in a row and 3 different teams.
And number 1 is the defending champs, Ohio State. What did last week say to hold Texas to 7 points? I mean, that's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, they just came out and played with tenacity. They seemed like they had 14 guys on the field. They were everywhere. And, their offense was struggling. Didn't matter. Right. The defense had its own mindset, and they were going to do what they prepared to do, and they did. And I just was very impressed with watching them play defense. Now, we'll see what happens down the road, and we'll see what happens when they get out of the shoe.
Yeah.
And Michigan is looming. And I think Ohio State is playing Michigan every week. They want to get back to that game unbeaten and then settle the score.
Well, that's, again, the 2 hours flies right on by.
Boy,
ready to go. Kick off at 11 o'clock. Some really great games coming up. And I know you're going to be watching it. We'll be back again next week.
Yep. We got about a minute to go here and we're kicking off. So very good.
Absolutely. About 10 seconds, in fact. But make sure you check out Sully's collegefootballpage.com and join us again next week from 9 to 11 right here on WXCO.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.